What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and if you like this video, hit that like button. We're breaking down everything that happened on the Big Brother live feeds. It's July 10th, Sunday, day 5 inside the Big Brother house. We do have an episode tonight where we're actually going to see the nominations take place. We already know that Michael and Terrence are the nominees, but on the live feeds yesterday, we had a veto competition. We showed you in yesterday's video there was a leak of the competition. It was kind of like a jousting, dueling competition where people had to go against each other and try and grab these hoops with poles. And the winner of the power of veto was Michael. Michael won power of veto, coming up big, able to save himself in this game. It's going to force Daniel to put somebody else on the block. I think we already know who it's going to be, but things might change. So as I'm recording this now, there hasn't been a renom. The veto ceremony hasn't taken place. They got them up pretty late today, and I'm actually thinking that maybe the veto ceremony might not be today. It might be tomorrow on Monday. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it does happen today and we get to find out. But also, pushing, as I move my microphone there, pushing it later might actually be beneficial for especially the intended target right now. The later the meeting happens, the more chance this person might be able to get out of trouble. So let's kind of break down what happened immediately following the veto. So Brittany went upstairs, and I don't know whether it was just to get cleaned up from the competition, although she didn't compete, so I don't know why she would need to be cleaned up, but whatever the case, she ended up in the HOH room, and I guess it was one of the first times Daniel, Nicole, and Brittany all ended up in the same room. One of the things that made things a little difficult so far in getting everybody to really start talking game, it's been very slow, has been Daniel's open door policy with his HOH room. So if he's in there having a conversation, anybody can just knock and ring the bell, and he says, yeah, come on in, there's no, you can just come in. So it makes it a little bit harder for people to be like, hey, let's go to the HOH room and talk, when anyone can go in there at any time. And he's kind of making it, I don't know, it feels awkward for them, and it's making it a little bit harder, especially for them to talk game with Daniel specifically. But Brittany goes up there and she starts spilling the tea about all the girls, how they hate Taylor, how she has made these observations on everyone. She called the veto competition like an exercise in observation. She was like, this was amazing. I got to sit back, not do anything, and just watch everyone. So she feels like she got a lot of information, and she was spilling all this to Daniel and Nicole. She ended up basically suggesting Indy as a replacement nominee, which is interesting because technically Brittany is in an alliance with the girls, with Indy, Jasmine, Paloma, Alyssa, and Amira, but she told him to put Indy up. Nicole had a conversation, well, actually before that, right after Brittany leaves the HOH, she goes directly to Michael, and she's like, look, Michael, I just went up there and I spilled my guts. I was really vulnerable with them. Hopefully this buys me some favor. So I don't know if this was Brittany really being like, I want to work with Daniel and Nicole, or if this was just her way of trying to manipulate them into doing what she would rather happen, which would be seeing someone like Indy go up, who probably stays, and then Terrence going home. I'm not 100% sure what Brittany's real intentions were there, but that's what she did. And it did kind of put that little nugget of like, hey, you know what? Indy might be a good replacement non-pick for Daniel. Now, Nicole had a conversation with Amira, and she wanted to convince Daniel to put up Joseph. Nicole and Amira talk a lot of game, and I'm still not convinced whether Nicole is true to Daniel and the Rugrats, or if she's more true to someone like Amira, who she talks a lot of game with. That's still to be seen, because I haven't seen her talk to Daniel about like Amira, but I've seen her talk to Amira about Daniel. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. She could be just playing, both sides here and trying to work on it. But I am a little impressed with Nicole so far as a gamer. I think she's someone that will probably go pretty far, not as a big target for many people. And she's doing pretty well. I like her. Nicole and Daniel, they finally have their talk about Joe, right? She wanted to push Joe to be the nominee. She's like, look, put Joe up, right? And just be like, you're the pawn, right? We want Terrence going. He's my original nominee. But Daniel was kind of too smart on that. He's like, look, if I put him up, I'm screwed, right? Like, I'm screwed not just for, this week and like next week. I'm screwed for the rest of the game because these guys won't trust me now. I've made promises to them saying, hey, I believe that you guys won't put me up. If I put them up, they're going to put me up. Also, not mentioning that technically he's in an alliance with them, but that's beyond the point. Instead of Joe, he kind of shuts that one down, and Daniel actually pushes India, who Brittany brought up earlier, was also one of his potential nominees before he had to nominate, and he also says Taylor. Now, Pooch and Turner, they both went to Daniel, and they were pushing Taylor as well. They even said, like, hey, we've got 8 votes. Like, now's the time to get her out. If she gets HOH, like, we're all screwed because she's going to be coming after the strong guys, and that's part of their alliance. I think they're calling it the Oasis. It's Monty, Pooch, Joseph, Daniel, Kyle, and Turner. It's kind of like the guys' alliance of this season. Now, Michael and Terrence not in that alliance, so that's why they were the ones on the block. So they feel like Taylor is a threat. Now, here is where things get a little fuzzy. Why they think that Taylor's coming after them is apparently from a conversation that Monty had with Taylor. So there's some debate on whether this actually took place or not. I actually went back through the live feeds, like in the flashbacks. I couldn't find the conversation. Apparently Friday morning, like the end of Friday morning, Monty and Taylor had a game talk, and that is when Taylor told Monty, I want to go after big players, like I want to get big people out. And Monty took that as like, oh, like we have to worry. So Monty he told, Turner, Pooch, and a bunch of the guys this, but he also told Paloma, which, listen, I said yesterday, I really like Monty. I think he's playing a really good game. I think he's in one of the best spots in the game. I hate to say it, but if this is a lie, even if it's not a lie, and maybe she mentioned it in passing, it's a good move for Monty and his alliance. It sucks for Taylor. It's awful for Taylor because by telling Paloma, he knew this would fuel the fire that Paloma and the other girls already have against Taylor. They hate her because she put a dress on and said it was her finale dress, even though they saw the dress and like convinced her to put it on. They hate her because she talks really well with the guys, but when she talks with the guys, they then turn their backs on them. So is she really in with the guys, or do they just perceive it as that? Right? So, like, there's a lot of this stuff that they're pushing on Taylor and pushing her as a target, which is, again, don't get me wrong, as a game move, strictly game move, it's not a bad choice, right? Like, Taylor is a threat. She's strong, she's smart, she's confident, she does very well, like, socializing with everyone. And I can see why you would see that and be threatened by it. And that's part of Big Brother. At the same time, I feel awful for her because now at this point, she's kind of become the consensus. Yep, that's who we're going to put up. That's who we're going to nominate. That's who we're going to evict. And that sucks. It sucks to have to go through, but that's Big Brother. I would struggle for anyone, including myself, to name a first boot from Big Brother, be it US, Canada, like that had a good experience. That can say like, yeah, I had a good time. I didn't feel, targeted and it was rough. Maybe the only one is Jody from BB, what was that, 14? But she really wasn't even evicted. She just wasn't picked, and that's how she was eliminated. She was in there for less than like a few hours. But yeah, I feel like that's always kind of the sad case of the first boot. Someone has to be it. It looks like it might be Taylor this week. Like I said, though, in the beginning of the video, we might not get the veto ceremony today. We might not get a renom today. And that's good for Taylor. The more time that can pass for her to kind of, maybe get in with somebody like Daniel and turn this around, or the more time for someone to blow up or do something, the better. There is one more thing, obviously, that can save Taylor, the backstage. We don't know what's going on with that exactly. We know there's going to be an America's vote to save someone. 2 others will be at risk. How this will all play out on eviction night on Thursday, well, we're going to have to find out. But that pretty much covers what's going on as of right now. Oh, okay. There's one more piece of info. I almost forgot to mention this right before I started recording. Daniel and Nicole, they were up in the HOH room having kind of a conversation. But before she had that conversation, she actually had one with Amira as well in the bedroom. And she was like, just something seems off. I don't know. Like, I can't put my finger on it, but something seems off. So she went up and she had a conversation with Daniel. And she's like, I've been thinking. Monty came to her and said, Taylor wants to get big targets out. Maybe you should go talk to Paloma. And that had her thinking. She's like, why would he say it like that? Why wouldn't he just say to me, Taylor, wants to get big players out. She told me this, like, we need to stop this. I've talked to Paloma about, right? Like, there's different ways you could say it, but she was very confused on why she said you should go talk to Paloma about it. From Monty's point of view, I would imagine he wanted her to go talk to Paloma because he knew Paloma would throw Taylor under the bus and make her the nominee instead of one of the big targets. Monty's really looking out for himself right now, for Kyle, for the other guys, because he doesn't want any of them to go up, right? And he doesn't want necessarily any of the girls to go up either, but if he had to choose one, Taylor would be the one. I guess he feels like, right, if it's not a guy, who do you have left that's a possible nominee? You have Taylor, Indy, Jasmine. That's it. And of those 4, who's the biggest threat? Is it Indy and Jasmine and Amira? No, it's Taylor. Taylor, of those 4, is the biggest target. And if Daniel's goal is to say, hey, Terrence is just a pawn, right? You want to keep him because you don't have to worry about him, right? Well, Taylor's a pretty good shot to go up there and be evicted before Terrence. It is a messy season. They're starting to play. Things are starting to kind of get a little crazier and more dramatic, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the nominee, the replacement nominee, and the veto ceremony, and what's going to happen with these backstage stuff. We still don't know. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. We do have an episode tonight. I'll be live over on Twitch, probably around 6 p.m. Eastern, and then at 8 o'clock, we'll start doing a little watch-along for the nominations episode. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way through this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new, don't forget to hit that bell, and you always get a notification on when I go live, when I post a new video. Also, make sure you follow on Twitch. Like I said, we'll be over there later today. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.